Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders on the Big Thursday Night Live. My name is Scott Kerman. I'm your host of our first show of the new year. As always, my esteemed panel to the left, Russ Stevens, to the right, Alan Camo, and to my far right, Uncle Joe McLaughlin. Thanks for tuning in. So much has happened, so much will be happening in the next week or so in the sports world. So guys, let's dig right in, right? And let's start with the Patriots, the team that truly, the one team in Boston sports who has an opportunity right now to win a championship. The Patriots will be playing the Baltimore Ravens in the division round this Saturday. What are your insights, predictions? What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
I think the Patriots in a 2 to 3 score victory.
Really?
They should. It's a team. They are a tomato can. They've only beaten one team with a winning record all year. That was the Steelers. They haven't been able. They've been playing the AFC South and the NFC South all year. They haven't faced any iron. They're a team in transition. This is like a Red Sox bridge year.
I know. Does this make you feel good?
They're a paper tiger. People are going on past memories of the tough games from 2009 to 13 that we've had with that team.
Joe's like my therapist. He's making me feel better every minute, right? Because I was so anxious watching that Pittsburgh-Baltimore game.
Yeah, they look good.
Right, but who are you rooting for?
Pittsburgh.
Right, absolutely.
Right, exactly.
That's a great
second every
defensive
day.
line, but just throw it over their heads.
Yeah.
But why
The
is it that
linebackers and the defensive backs are no good. So let those guys come all they want. Just dink it over their heads and let Vereen,
I think Joe's
LaFell.
gotten- Joe's gotten into the Kool-Aid.
right, Joe? Yeah, Joe, you're walking us all off the cliff here, right?
Yes.
Because we're all nervous right now. Because is it
Don't
because
be.
we're thinking about
Don't be.
Are we thinking about the Baltimore Ravens?
We're seeing ghosts.
Ray Lewis,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ed Reed,
Yeah.
Bolden, right? We're thinking of those guys, and we're thinking those are the guys who are going to show up on Saturday.
And the other thing is, Flacco hasn't thrown an interception in a playoff game I think since his rookie year. He's overdue
Oh,
for
here
a
he
couple
really
picks.
is.
Oh, my
Wow.
God.
Yeah,
I'll predict right now 2
Oh
picks.
my, oh my,
picks.
oh my God! Are they filming this? Are they taping
yes,
this?
2
man.
picks.
Oh wow!
I think
I have inside information from Jonathan.
I think there's a game this year that you could look at with respect to the Ravens to say if you think that it's a similar game, that there's a way to beat them, and that's the Detroit Lions game. Detroit
Yes.
Lions look a lot like the Ravens. They've got a great defensive line. They've got so-so middle linebackers and cornerbacks. They've got a quarterback who could go off. They've got a couple of good receivers, and we trounced the Lions at home.
Right.
So now, if we're playing like we were playing back with the Lions, they know the game plan, which is we drop back. I think Brady threw 53, 55 passes.
Yeah.
Against they dropped back. They spread it out, they got rid of the ball, and they passed them to death all the way down the field. If they can do that, then they should win it. But you never know. Sometimes Belichick and McDaniels get a little too clever, and they go out and they try to establish the run, and
They get very conservative offensively in the playoffs. They lose playoff games in the past because of their offense, not
Yeah.
because of their defense.
spread it out, throw it around.
No immediacy in their offensive plan. Hopefully, they've learned their lesson. Everything's
Stay
just
out of 3rd and 8.
we're all set up, right? They're 10 rested and ready, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's attending practice, right? There's no reason they should lose this game.
Oh my God! Come on, guys. What are all of you guys smoking? Come on, will you give me a break? Let's admit it. I've been looking at Baltimore over my shoulder the whole season. First, you have Kansas City, who comes in during the regular season. They show the Patriots how footballs can be done and how you can
Right,
get
but that was
one
at
over.
Arrowhead Stadium,
Then
right?
there's something mystical going on here. Kansas City beats the Chargers that they should not have beat, and that allowed who? The Ravens to get in. It's there's too many stars aligning. However, you gentlemen have been good at talking me off of the ledge.
You feel better now, right?
And let me tell you something. I don't feel great about this game, but here's my prediction, okay? This is going to be another nail biter. I predicted the Jets, and so did Russ, that would be a close game. There's something about the mojo between these two teams. It's a tough call. I got the Patriots winning this one 31-30 with Gostkowski kicking a chip shot.
See, I don't think.
For the
Here's
field
my. I
goal.
just don't see how Baltimore is going to score more than 17 or 21 points, unless something, unless there's turnovers or special teams things. Because
Well, it will be a cold day.
what we do have that we didn't have in those games, where we've got the Revis, Browner, McCourty combination, where you put Revis on Smith, you put McCourty and Browner on the speedster, and then you can put 8 guys up and stop the run. I mean, that's been the recipe.
Hey, can they just call the first 2 plays on defense, just call them on Browner? Can we get those things over?
Get the penalties?
Right away?
I like that, right.
Yeah, the first 2, right, that's it.
Belichick
exactly.
should tell Browner to go jack somebody up in the first play of the game to get it out of his system.
Absolutely,
Right.
because we don't need that happening in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter.
I love it. I think
when there's something.
I think you got to get Belichick on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. He might as well just cold cock the guy right there,
Yeah.
and then that's it. I'm a foul. In like the NBA
like
when
it.
they raise their hand.
I like it.
Because we need to get that over with. Because as we said, and obviously we'll go over the refereeing in the Dallas-Detroit game in a little bit, but refereeing at the end of games, those kind of penalties can cost you a season, and we don't want that to
generally
happen.
tend to swallow the whistle in the playoffs.
Well,
Or
we
pick
hope-
up
well,
flags.
Yeah, we'll pick up flags, so we'll go over that. Now, one thing we were talking about off the air, the Patriots can't afford to have anyone injured. Not this game, not in the next 3 games. Is that correct? I mean, their depth is so small in pretty much both sides of the ball that they're very vulnerable if a guy goes out. Wouldn't you say?
Well, every team's going to have injury problems, and I think they're pretty well set up in depth. Other than linebacker, where they did address that, getting Akemias and Casillas, getting themselves a little more depth at linebacker. But that's about the only place I really see.
But we can all
super
agree
thin.
that if Gronkowski gets
you
hit
can't
low in the
you
first
can't
quarter,
replace
this
him
whole
or
thing's
Brady,
over,
no.
right? Like no one
No.
believes
No,
that the Patriots can win
I think you've got a
Super Bowl without
very
Gronkowski.
fine line here. I mean, come on. They didn't look good without Edelman the other day.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. I agree with
they
that.
can't
That's
afford to even lose
That's a good
somebody
point.
even, lesser than Gronkowski.
Look-
They've got everything all lined up, and it's like it's a fragile thing. Nobody needs to get hurt offensively here.
We've
for
lost
the-
AFC
for the
Championship
Patriots.
games, if you guys remember,
Absolutely.
because Talib was out on both of the games in
Yeah.
the first half.
I
mean,
agree.
That's how vulnerable
They were
we
leading
were.
in both,
Yeah.
holding their own.
Yeah.
Even in last year's game, where clearly they were outmatched when they were
Right,
holding
when
their
they
own,
lost.
like you
Yeah.
said, until Talib went out. So the idea that anyone gets hurt and we're in trouble makes the team very vulnerable.
But you know what, though? I think, though, that Revis holds his own, and as much as we joke about Browner, he's a bruiser in that respect, so it's not so much are they going to get hit. I think, they can hit back, and I think the Patriots, as far as staying healthy, they're going to be fine. They're going to be okay.
On the Ravens side of the ball, what I worry most about is this Terrell Suggs. I mean, this guy has been a nemesis of the Patriots for a long time. He seems to be in Tom Brady's head, right? So if he were to, sack him once or, hit him hard early on, Brady gets affected, doesn't he?
Have Gronkowski give him a little
Yeah.
dish on his way out.
Look, I think maybe a lot of these quarterbacks, once they hit the age that Brady's at, they get tired of getting hit. You see these young guys like Russell Wilson, they'll take a hit. They don't mind. But these guys get into their mid to late 30s. They don't like to get hit. It's Manning, it's Brady, it's all those guys down the line. And that's clearly, look, we know the way to beat the Patriots, right? You rush 4 guys, get pressure on Brady with 4 guys, drop 7 back, and make him just pick his way down the field and just and that's how the Giants beat them, and that's how the Ravens have beat them. And if that's what the Ravens do on Saturday is get pressure with them on 4 guys, to Alan's point,
right.
we could be in for a long day.
Here's my concern. And, let's face it, the Buffalo game was sort of a mail-in type sort of thing. Everybody's sort of rusty. You didn't have your starters in there. But I get a little concerned about the Patriots' offensive, their offensive plans. Their coordination on some of these calls is a little scary. So you have Buffalo. They should have been your little warm-up team for the playoffs because they're a great rushing team. And, of course, how did they do against this great rushing team? Well, to me, they had like, a 2nd and 14 or 3rd and 14 at one point. Guess what? You think Buffalo, who's a great rushing team, is going to rush? They rush, and the Patriots did not have an offensive
handle it
answer.
very well.
They didn't handle screens. They didn't do bubble screens well. They didn't do slants. And this should have been a warm-up for them. That's why I'm a little concerned about this Baltimore game.
Well, Belichick is supposed to be the genius of all time.
Spread them out, throw it.
This is the legacy. This is the legacy. They go on a 3-game winning streak right now.
That's
the
right.
legacy is in cement, right? Tom Brady is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, right? He would have 4 Super Bowl wins. He'd actually be in 6 Super Bowls.
Right.
Belichick, I mean, if he's
these
not
last
already
two,
there,
right.
where they're trying to erase the Vince Lombardi trophy and make it the Bill Belichick trophy, he wins another Super Bowl. Wow, what does that put him in as far as the coaching echelon? Right there with Vince Lombardi, wouldn't you agree? If he's not already there right now.
Yeah.
I don't think Suggs is in his head. Dumerville is. Remember the greatest hit
Dumerville.
on Brady of all time was Dumerville.
Yeah.
Spread eagle in him. Then from the blind side.
Yeah.
I thought Brady wasn't getting back up.
We have a picture of Terrell Suggs, and he may be the ugliest man in
handsome
sports.
No,
He's
yeah.
top 5, right?
Yeah, there's so much wrong there that you
Yeah.
have to take a half.
And he's a
step
punk
back.
too. I just want to mention
Yeah.
that he's a punk. He's got
What about our crazy starting pitcher there?
which one for the Red Sox?
Yeah.
Oh, Tavares was.
Yeah, he was unfortunate looking.
He
But
was
Terrell
bad.
Suggs is a punk. He poured bleach apparently, allegedly on both his girlfriend and his child
Yeah.
and stuff. He's had domestic
Yeah,
violence.
he's talked
arrests.
he talked a lot of trash after that last victory. And Brady this week, I give Brady credit. He's
Yeah,
killing him with
because,
kindness.
I
It's like, I'm
noticed
just
that.
not getting into it with
I
him.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and John Harbaugh is a good coach.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's where these coaches usually do come to, Gillette Stadium, and they're off their game. I mean, I'd love Joe Philbin right now to be the coach of
Yeah,
the Ravens. That'd be
exactly.
very helpful.
Yeah.
Right? But Harbaugh, he's not intimidated
Or
by
bring back
anything.
Marv Levy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But he's not intimidated
Gosh.
by that, and that's another thing to worry about is that we're there with the adults playing, whereas
Yeah, these guys are going to Alan's point, they're going to play big boy football against us. They're going to make it hard. I don't think this is going to be easy. You're right. You and I picked that Jets game. You knew
Right.
that. I knew that was going to be close. I think 7-point game, somewhere around in there.
that's gonna make me nervous.
It's
though,
going to
now.
make. We're
Yeah,
going to have
I
a
need
very
a
wild
Wait a minute, are
day
there
on
odds
Saturday.
out yet?
Yeah, it's 7.5
7.5
points for the Patriots.
points.
Oh, no, I hate
I would
that.
take the Ravens. I
For
had
the
to
spread?
spend, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about.
I'd like to talk you out of that, but to Alan's point about Kansas City, the 2 things that Kansas City did well are the 2 things that Baltimore does well. So,
Well, it's a different team now. We have Gronkowski. Gronkowski wasn't the same player
Right.
with their. I'd
yeah,
say,
he was very tentative back then still.
Right.
Yeah,
He was
no,
still feeling his way.
Look, don't underestimate the fact that the Patriots play far better at Gillette Stadium than they do anywhere else, and that makes a big difference. And of course, now what I want to talk about, and we could talk about forever, is the refereeing, because the refereeing will most likely next Thursday we'll be talking about the refereeing in some level about this game, because the refereeing in the NFL is that the most important refereeing as far as the 4 major sports and makes the greatest effect? Would you say that football?
And they have so many options on every play on what to call and what not to call that if they decided, every 5 plays to make a call, they could change significantly the
But
game.
TV will only allow them to call X amount per game, or the telecast gets unmanageable for them.
Right.
So,
But the Detroit-Dallas game, the call that was made, I don't have to go through all of it. It was a call that affected the game. Pretty much, it seems almost established in the media world right now that was a fixed job. Okay, that the referees changed the call to change the outcome of the game, not to get it right, but to change the outcome of the game.
But it was
Doesn't
true.
that scare you?
to use the word fix is hard because it happened so quickly. There wasn't time enough for a machine to be put into place to say, wait a minute, go change that call.
No,
and
I
make
think
a
the
call
machine
to
was
this guy,
already
to
there.
that
There
guy.
was, you almost felt like
Yeah.
the referee when he was changing the call. Before he was like, "And
But
they
he
have my
wasn't in on
family."
it.
I
my
mean,
family.
I mean, he was that afraid. This is why I'm doing this. He just, like the movies, they would be saying that, right? And then he'd run off the field, and here comes Bruce Willis. I mean, it seems so corrupt at the very moment of
the
it.
whole way it went down did look corrupt.
And Mike Pereira or Ferreira, whatever the
Yeah,
referees
look.
are on the broadcast, he was in shock.
Yeah, no, look, those guys are predilection to agree with the officials. So 9 times out of 10, it feels like those former officials agree with the guys on the field, and Pereira was having none of it. Pereira was right off the bat.
Hates them. Remember, he got fired with the NFL.
Yeah, but look, he got a job there. And of course, Troy Aikman, he's not going to give you. I mean,
Right,
he's got
he's
his
a
little
cowboy,
pom
right,
poms
yeah.
in there. I mean,
Right.
that's almost you have to have him off the broadcast.
But wait a
I
minute,
mean,
though.
that's so
What
ridiculous.
would have been the call? I mean, there is no such thing as face guarding.
No,
right?
it's interference. He
Yeah,
called
he
interference.
pushed him, yeah.
Look, they could have called defensive holding. The guy
Right.
clearly grabbed the other guy's
They-
shirt.
Right. But there's all that going on all the
Yeah,
They
but
time.
called
this
it. They called it. They
did.
walked
The
it off.
point, you're right, but the point is they did call it. And then they
Okay,
picked up a
and they
flag.
called-
And how
called
many
it
times have we seen a flag get picked up?
But they
Now,
didn't even pick up
you
the
s-
flag. No, they didn't pick up the flag. They walked it off.
And they
And
that's what I'm
announced
saying.
pass
And then they
interference.
were just literally, I mean, that's even different than picking up the flag.
Every game
they
they
went
pick
for
up
that
a flag.
press.
But you
Yeah.
want to know something, though? Come on, let's take baseball as far as refereeing goes. I mean, you can't argue about a lot of bad calls in sports. Some go your way, some do not. And the better teams find a way to get over this. So I'm going to go back up the tape reel here, and take a look at what went on. It was 3rd and 1. It was a crucial part of the game. And I love that they threw the ball. I think that's a great way because you're expecting the run. They should have immediately got into a huddle and had the next play called for 4th and 1.
No, but they're not going to do that.
But
They
they,
get
and so
first in the
what did
game.
Detroit do? Okay, so the call was reversed. You still got a 4th and 1. What did they do? They didn't even try to get the
No,
first
because
down.
they were too far back. They
Poor
had a punt.
situation.
No,
Situational
they should have
football.
done
No,
that.
They
No,
had-
they should have gone
but
for
But
it.
they didn't have to do that.
You know,
They
put
didn't
the-
have to
put
do
the-
it. I mean, you expect that at the very least that the call. And then Des Bryant ran on the field without, he wasn't even. He's on the offense. He runs on the field. Of course, he doesn't have a helmet. He's arguing with the referee on the field. That should have been an automatic 15-yard
Even
penalty.
Aikman had to admit that one.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now they wanted to actually divert the attention of the interference call. So Blandino, who's the head of officiating, and we could talk about his, deal. He said that there was actually holding on the call, that Sue was held, and that should have been the call.
Call,
so he
right, I
had 3
heard that.
penalties that they completely ignore on the key play on the game, so Dallas can move forward.
And who was the guy that was reprimanded and disciplined for partying in Jerry Jones's trailer this summer?
Blandino.
Blandino.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Now, this is the point here. You have the commissioner of football who is corrupt, right? He is corrupt. I looked up the word lacks integrity is one of the definitions of corrupt. Okay.
Stooge for the owners
Right.
would have been
So
another.
we can use that word liberally and
Yeah.
say he is corrupt. So if you have the commissioner of football corrupt, it's not a reach to say you trickle down a little bit, boys, and you get to the refereeing, and you might be able to get to those guys also, right?
Yeah.
Well, and we
Or a
were
little
Joe and I
pressure's
were
in- put
Joe
on
and I
them.
were talking that now everyone's wired. So it's theoretical that if there was a way of scrambling the egg a little bit in that moment, there's a way to connect into that referee group on the field that didn't exist until I believe this year from the central office. So look, the problem is now there's a perception of corruption. Right? I mean, that's the NFL's real problem is whether this was corrupt or not.
Right,
There is
right.
a widespread, to the point where President Obama today said basically something smells fishy with this thing.
Yeah, right.
And you better ask the experts. Now, when the President of the United States says something smells a little fishy here, they have a problem, whether there was corruption or not.
Yeah. Because
Well, Detroit isn't a blue state.
Right, but
Dallas
presidents
isn't a
usually
red
don't.
state.
Yeah, they usually don't comment on wild card games.
They
That's what
typically-
I. In
No,
my
no, no,
experience,
no.
Yeah, they should have other
Yeah.
issues to deal with. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an issue moving forward. Like we talked about, joked about. Literally, could the NFL end up being like the WWF at some point, where they just say, "Okay, guys, it's not real. It's for entertainment purposes only."
Yeah, I don't think Las Vegas is ever going to quite allow that to happen.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of guys in Las Vegas who
Yeah.
who still have their ticket for that game,
Yeah.
and that was pretty bad. So hopefully, moving forward, we won't have anything the rest of the
Yeah,
playoffs.
you just don't want these games.
Yeah,
you
you
don't
don't
want this
want-
Patriots
right.
game,
Oh, that's why I want a 2 or 3 score victory.
Hey, remember the Immaculate Conception there by Franco?
yeah.
And do you remember what happened after that? After the whole game was gone, like a year later, they were talking to, I forget who it was. I think it was the head coach there, the head referee rather, and he goes over to security and he says, that catch shouldn't have been allowed. You know,
Yeah,
and
there was
he
a
said,
ruling issue.
And I want to change it. And the referee asked head security, said, if I change that, will you be able to handle security here? He said, no, I'm leaving right now. If you want to change it, you're on your own.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right.
So,
I know, you're right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
After it hit, I forget, but it went off 2 different people, and so that
it did, right.
He couldn't.
The rules back
The
then,
offensive guy
right,
couldn't
could not have
make
caught
the
it.
reception.
That's right.
It was an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move out of football. Hopefully things will go well
Oh,
on Saturday, and then
so.
we'll be celebrating here next Thursday. Let's actually go to the Red Sox a little bit. Pedro Martinez, obviously one of our favorite
Yeah.
pitchers of all time. I think I can say that for all of us. Just got elected to the Hall of Fame. Just a little insight. What do your
Look,
memories of
I
Pedro?
still get chills when I think about him coming into that 8-8 game against the Indians in '99 and throwing 6 no-hit innings. And I remember the lead-up all day. I was living in New York, but I somehow got on through AOL Sports Radio, and the scuttlebutt the entire day was Kerrigan had come out and said if he comes in, he's got a 25 to 30 pitch max. And that guy went out and he did something I don't ever remember any other player, position, pitcher do. In that kind of situation, that was nothing will get better
think
than that.
I think the thing that really struck me was, first of all, it was what 8. It was a bizarre
8 to 8.
Saberhagen got lit up.
Like the
Yeah.
whole deciding game was just a mishmash. The whole series was a mishmash. I remember they walked Troy O'Leary, hit a grand slam or something to tie it up. It was a bizarre game. And then, who's coming in from the bullpen? I never saw a baseball stadium turn into a morgue.
Yeah, because they
I mean,
knew.
There was nothing. The fans, nothing. I mean, they didn't even razz him, or they didn't even nothing. It
Yeah,
was
the guy
all
had an
like-
aura to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And now
For a little guy too, he really took over the stage.
Yeah.
He was
taller
he
than
was-
me. I
he
mean,
was
how little you got to be?
Right.
we're very, and
Professional
also
athlete.
there's very an injustice going on in the Hall of Fame voting that Kurt Schilling only got 39% of the vote, and apparently Kurt did not get 100% of the vote because he's a Republican. That's what he said yesterday. So who knew that that only Democrats could vote and get elected to the Hall of Fame?
The libertarians will have no chance of getting in.
Yeah, right, exactly. Has Kurt Schilling officially lost his mind?
Yeah, I think Kurt is sort of seeing ghosts too, a little bit in all of this.
Is it?
He's had a tough couple of years between the cancer, the bankruptcy. Nothing's gone right for him, so he's going to find a scapegoat.
He'll get in. I mean, look, he will be
I
in the
agree.
Hall of Fame within the next 3 years. He will get
I
in. He
think
just
he'll
has
get
to.
in.
They always
bide
get
his
more
time.
each year.
And it looks like that people are having short memories, and it seems by the mirror voting is that the guys who are steroid guys seem to be going up the ladder, and ultimately you're going to see Bonds, Clemens.
Yeah. Are we? Do
get
you
in
think
there.
we're going to see Ortiz in the Hall of Fame?
Oh
No?
yeah, I think so. Absolutely.
Yeah, only if he
Absolutely.
doesn't get caught in some level. If
Yeah.
he gets caught, then I would say
No, Ortiz is too smart. I mean, he's not doing it.
No,
don't
I
believe
think
he
I
is.
mean, I think that if he's doing something, they don't even have letters for it yet. But
By the
I
way,
mean,
my
seriously,
contention has always been that in 2003, Ortiz did absolutely no steroids, and neither did
Manny?
A-Rod either. You know why? Because they were all tested under immunity. And to this day, I want to know who it was that broke that bond, because
Yeah.
that in and of itself is the crime, and you don't hear about that.
But are we going to be the Yahoos like the Yahoos in San Francisco who post Barry Bonds steroids still rooted for him, still thought he was the best,
Yeah.
and it became this just little San Francisco world of cherishing Barry Bonds, and the rest of the world thought, okay, he's a bum, he's a steroid guy. Are we going to be that same way with Big
Well,
Poppy?
I have to say
I
that
am for
whenever
Rodney Harrison.
when I start to contemplate Poppy's future, I always go to the PED thing. I wonder. It has tarnished his image for me. I still think he's incredible. He should be in the Hall of Fame regardless. But there's always that question in the back of my mind.
World Series performances alone will put him in there.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
but
If he hit
Playoffs,
220,
playoffs.
But I don't think it's guaranteed. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be. I think it's still going to be tough for these guys.
Okay, Big Poppy, I've been trying to get this in for a couple of weeks. I saw this in the Boston Globe. All right, this was in the Sunday section. Nick Carfardo, he says, talking about David Ortiz, Ortiz also watched the recent surgery in which Mike Napoli's jaw was reconfigured to help alleviate sleep apnea. This was so interesting to watch, Ortiz said. It's amazing what they do.
I had to read that 3 times.
So
It's a slow week, you know what they say.
So what is Big Papi doing
I
on a
don't
Wednesday?
know,
He's going
but-
to. Was he part of the operation?
How
I mean,
many of us thought about that Seinfeld episode where Kramer's watching the operation with the Junior Mints? Now, thank God, Papi didn't bump his elbow and drop a Junior Mint into Napoli's.
But you had him in the surgery doing what? This?
It's bizarre. I don't know what.
You know. I mean, can I have my scalpel? Yeah.
little
He
to the
spits
left
on
back.
it before he gives it to him. I mean, I mean, are we living in a completely different world than these people?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
I think Alan
absolutely we
and
are.
Joe are right. It must have been a slow day. I
Yeah.
mean, I could think of about 1,000 things I'd rather do off
That's-
the top of my
Oh,
head.
yeah.
Right. I guess.
Wait. Come on, let's spin a really nice rose-colored look to this whole story. Maybe Mr. Ortiz was also there doing some charitable work at the hospital.
Okay,
And
yeah,
by
that
the
was
way,
it.
you-
Supporting a teammate.
All right.
By the way, your buddy's having open heart surgery. If you want to, you
wanna look
mask
in
up.
on it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I know next time I have surgery, I would love Big Papi to be part of that. That would just be awesome.
Could be a new
Imagine-
I want to go to the dentist's office and watch someone else get dental surgery.
I mean, but sleep apnea, that's a really rough
Yeah,
surgery,
yeah.
right? They take your whole
take the
face
jaw
off and
off,
put
they
your
move it
stuff.
around and
I mean,
stuff like
there's
that.
nothing pretty about it.
No.
Yeah, he's got too much time on his hands. Maybe he should work on maybe playing first base at some point or something. I don't know.
take some grounders.
But it's pretty frightening. So in the last few minutes, wanted to cover the Celtics a little bit. Rajon Rondo, who on our last show, if you remember last year,
We said goodbye
was,
to.
was traded. Yeah, was traded on that night. He comes to the Garden and can't miss. Scores 29 points, hitting 5 3-pointers.
In the first quarter alone.
Remarkable. Something that we hadn't seen all year, 2 years. And of course, I just want to also mention the next game he scores 4 points. Okay, but and I love Rondo to an extent. Obviously, he did some great things, but please, the statement he makes before the game that he hadn't played defense in years. I mean, what did you think of that?
Look, I think he's been renowned for a long time at being a big game player. If it was a nationally televised game, he played a great game.
triple-double.
He played very well in the playoffs. He played very well in his return to the Garden. That's the problem with Rondo, though, is that he doesn't play very well on a Wednesday night against Sacramento.
Right.
And only plays defense now when the feeling sort of inspires him.
When the other guard challenges him.
All right, so I'm going to throw something crazy out here. First of all, what's his legacy? And does his number go up in the rafters?
Oh, no.
No.
Does Garnett's number go on the rafters?
He shouldn't.
Shouldn't, but probably
probably
will.
Of course,
Well,
Pierce is.
They're going to have to sell tickets some night, and it's going to go up for that reason.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so you say no, Rondo does not go on. All right, so does Ray Allen's?
No.
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 Garnett's? I think Garnett's
No.
is in.
Garnett and Pierce
He's
will
gonna
go
go
up.
in. Pierce
Rondo
definitely.
will not go up.
Pierce, absolutely. He deserves absolutely. I mean, if you're going to put guys like Cedric, Cedric Maxwell's in there. Don
He was
Nelson.
on a lot of teams. Don Nelson was on a lot of championship teams.
I know, but he's
He
not.
hit the winning bucket.
I know, but
one
I'm
of them.
talking about. I mean, some of these guys.
They got a little nutty with the numbers for the Celtics for about
But the
10
worst
years.
is Jungle Jim Lusky.
No, they don't have his number. They have his name.
Yeah.
Lusky.
Lusky.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm going to make a prediction. I've actually made a prediction before. Brad Stevens is gone very soon back to college.
really?
He's going to be lucky if he lasts the year.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if now the Celtics aren't going to fight that hard to keep him, because there's some things going on right now that have me concerned about him. He can't find a rotation. He got his players now who are sort of openly saying, he's still trying to figure out his way in the NBA. They don't do well coming out of timeouts. They don't play with urgency. Some of these things are in my mind are starting to pile up, and you start to wonder whether, is this guy a pro coach?
Yeah, he puts out more combinations out there than a hockey coach.
Yeah.
And he doesn't draw up any good plays at the end of the game, which
No.
Doc Rivers was known of. And then also, Gary Washburn had a article last week ripping into Stevens, saying that he doesn't, he's not tough with the referees. It's costing them
Yeah.
games. He hasn't got a technical. I thought that was kind of out of left field for a team that's rebuilding anyways. So I felt like that
That's
was
usually
planted a little
planted,
bit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, you start to see some of this. We're all old enough now. We start to see some of this stuff bubble up before the real theme
Right.
emerges.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, in 3 weeks, someone will write something referencing Washburn's article,
Yeah.
referencing the new guy starting to criticize Stevens. So
Yeah, that's something to watch out for. So that was quick, guys. That went really
As
quick.
always.
That's
Yeah.
30. Wow.
it's a
Well, thank you
Beginning
again.
of our second year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Years in.
Well, thank you very much, guys,
Oh, it's
for
great.
joining us here in this first episode of the new year. Thank you for Doug and for everyone behind the scenes for their great effort. That's the Grandstanders for another week. We'll be back next Thursday Night Live. My name's Scott Kerman. Have a good night.